Right, welcome to tape 5. Grandad Goose Kitchen talks to his grandchildren. We talked about how Arneil was an artist. Uh, and just in my front room on the windowsill is one of his creations. Of course, he was a commercial artist. He had to create stuff to sell. And it's an easy picture. A guy called Andy Warhol. Arneil was quite keen on the guy, and Andy Warhol did a lot of kind of Marilyn Monroe pictures. It was very popular in the late 1960s. So that's one of Arneil's creations, and it's what I comb my hair in each morning, and have done for many years. Okay, and here's a picture. I mentioned how my dad was a street trader, and he sold things like Union Jacks. This can be hard to see because it's only a very small. Oh no, it's doing okay, isn't it? That's my dad selling Union Jacks. I used to sell them by the thousand. And everyone thought it was but very funny, an old guy walking about selling flags. But he was making an absolute fortune. And it all went into boxes under his bed or money bags in his shoes were hid away. And it bought a house and a lot more. Okay, so what we're doing today, we're talking. This could be a bit of a boring one. It's about me in the 1970s. Okay, me might want to skip this one. All right, it's not full of excitement and jokes. Uh, well, I'll try and abbreviate it a bit. Okay. Uh, yeah, I was at high school and nothing much happened. Uh, at 14, I got a decent teacher, and he got me reading books and kind of, you know, thinking a bit more. A guy called Mr. Ayling. Otherwise, we were a total shower. Yep, the teachers were just a parade of idiots, basically. Not all idiots. Some were well intentioned, but not very good. Uh, yeah, what tended to happen, there's two main kinds of schools: academic schools and what we call secondary moderns. And there's some very dedicated teachers in secondary modern schools, these were non-academic ones. But there was also a lot of failures, people who couldn't hack it anywhere else. And we had a great many of those. I think I had two who were the exception, yeah? So we won't hanker on about that. I left school with only one O level, which I got from night school. I went to a night school class. You'll never guess what it was in. Sociology, of all things. I got a sociology O level at grade C or D or something, yeah? But at the ordinary school I went to, you weren't allowed to do O levels with a thing called CSE, which is a bit crap basically. If you got a grade 1 in CSE, they gave you a kind of retrade second hand kind of O level. So I got a grade 1 in English. God knows how, because I couldn't spell good grammar or punctuation. But they gave me an O level in English. So I left school. It was just before my 16th birthday in 1973. Um, I had quite a few jobs over the following years. In fact, lots and lots of jobs. And it's no wonder my dad thought I was following Arian's footsteps. Except, you know, I think I was a bit emotionally immature. I didn't like work either, And yes, I got sacked from Morrison's, and I called them all kinds. Morrison's is a supermarket, but that was when they sacked the job. I got sacked from working in a warehouse. The guy was saying I didn't get washed enough, which is a fair enough point. I got sacked from a pram factory for punching somebody. I'm not condoning that, okay? But he had been interfering with my machine when I was doing what's called piecework, which is kind of payment by results, yeah? Um, where else did I get sacked? I was asked to leave from Carter and Parker, Wendy Wall in Guiseley. I was working with a former Nazi war criminal. There's a whole lot of stories there. I was caught. I was caught smoking and reading books about democracy and politics in a small enclave in the centre of a warehouse created by hundreds of sacks of wool. And of course, I was breaching the fire regulations. What else? I got sacked from a library. The University of Bradford Library. I was into books. I thought, well, I'll work in a library. But this bunch of women, I called a polyester. They all wore polyester. God, they were like little ayatollahs, yeah? And they pursued me. Because what I'd been doing was a telephone service called Dial a Disc, where for a 2p charge, you could phone up and listen to a top 20 pop record, which I'd done scores and scores of times every evening shift when I was working. And one day the bill came in, and it was it was literally hundreds of 2 pences from me phoning Dial a Disc. So I went walkies. The guy who sacked me, though, he wasn't one of the Ayatollah polyesters. He was a decent guy. So he said, Dave, come in here. He sacked me, yeah? And he said, right, don't go. I've got you another job. I thought, oh, okay, it's a bit weird. Only about 16, 17. He said, I see you volunteer at a youth club for young people who've got, it was called mental subnormality in those days. We'd call it an intellectual disability today, yeah? And he went on, I've got a friend, he said, who's one of the guys in charge of an asylum for such people in Leeds called Meanwood Park Hospital. And I've got you a job there. How about that? He sacked me 1 minute, he pulled me back in, he got on the phone, he phoned this guy at Meanwood, he got me an interview. I turned up for an interview, and they were going to offer me a nursing assistant's job. Which is a kind of an untrained, well, it was untrained in those days, an untrained assistant to nurses. Did a kind of dirty work and stuff. We all did dirty work, but so on, yeah. But when I went for the interview, I noticed I had one A level. I got the A level. It was a whole disaster of FE colleges and me not going and failing and all the rest of it. But I got the A level at night school, an A level in economic history of all things. I think it was grade D, it was a bare pass. But I had an A level. So, oh, if you've got an A level, you can be a nurse. And, I only thought women were nurses, But lo and behold, 23rd of August, 1976, I kind of rocked up for day one of nurse training. And for the next 40 odd years, that's what I did. I was a learning disability nurse and later a psychiatric nurse. And it's what I did as my main job for the whole, it was different variations of it, community, secure, all kinds of stuff. But with variations, that's what I did for the next 40 years until I was, give me a second, June 1916. So that's what, 1976 to 2016. So that's 40 years, isn't it? I think, that can't be. Yeah, it is, it's 40 years, yeah. And, oh, wow. You see, what you have to do is everyone's got a niche, yeah? Some people fit in certain kind of jobs, while someone else, like me, would be totally crap at it. So you have to get lucky and shop around until you find your niche. And lo and behold, my niche, to my surprise and everybody else's, was nursing. God help us all, Not general nursing. I did some general nursing, kind of like medical and surgical nursing, but I was pretty crap at that, and I failed the course, yeah. But I was fairly good at the other kinds of nursing, mental, psychiatric nursing, and learning disability nursing. And it took me all over the world. We'll come to that later on. So that was me. So my teens were a bit miserable, to be honest with you. People were doing apprenticeships, they were doing different kind of jobs, they were getting on with their lives. I was just kind of, doing stuff and failing at it until I found that niche, which I think it saved me basically. I've missed out a few other jobs I did. I did kind of farm work. I did, of course, I did street trading. All the way through, I was doing street trading from being 4 years old. But even in my teens, I was still doing it on a Saturday and a Sunday. I used to go up to a place called Shipley Glen and sell stuff there. I used to sell all over the place, yeah? But it wasn't my main job as such. So that was my teens, yeah? And what saved me really was going to Meanwood Park and doing that training. I was crap at that. I remember we had to learn about the human cell, like in biology. I'd never heard of a human cell. I had no idea what it is. It hadn't even crossed my mind to look inside my body and think, what am I made of? So this guy was telling us about, like the human cell and the nucleus and all and genetics and all that. And I had no idea what he was talking about. The nearest we got to that at school, I think, was kind of talking about frogs and tadpoles and stuff. Anyway, the cat is haunting me. Go away, tiger feet. Um, so, and, you know, my kind of life took off in a big way. I made friends. One called Bob Johnson, who, see, it was traditional that when you worked in this kind of mental hospitals, as we were called, that we didn't take on people who were only 18 or 19 years old. It was felt to be kind of a bit too. They were tough. They were very tough places indeed. Yeah, incredibly tough places. So I one of the first. A few of us who got an A level were some of the first to be taken on it. I just turned 19 by 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. So I was paired up with a guy called Bob Johnson, who was a whole 23 years old, I think, something like that. And he became my mentor. The idea was I went round the wards mostly with him, working on different wards during the training, and he would kind of, help me manage it. And we became very good mates. And incidentally, after 30 odd years of not being in touch, we reconnected a few years back, and we see each other quite often now. We go for rock and roll weekends at Pontins, at the holiday camp, and stuff like that. So that was my teenage years. So at 19, or just turned 19, I started nurse training, and the next 3 years was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a hell of a tough learning experience. I've written blogs about this. You can see those. These were not nice places, okay, and it was very primitive and tough, and a lot of the staff weren't very good people, to say the least. But I survived, and I somehow got the qualification, which got me on the road and moving on. Yeah. My dad used to call me the asylum attendant. He kept saying, David, when are you going to get a proper job? You can't be a sodding asylum attendant all your life. But there's nothing in being an asylum. He just had no idea. I could see his point. His mum, my grandma, had been in hemorrhoids at the local psychiatric hospital with dementia, and we used to go and visit her. This was about 1968 or so, and these were barbaric places, I promise you. Overcrowded, filthy, neglectful. And when she died, her wedding ring went missing. And Dad, probably correctly, assumed that one of the staff members had stolen it. Because these things used to happen, I promise you, yeah? And, yeah, so I became a psychiatric nurse, which was about a profession he hated most in the world, yeah? And he never quite adjusted to it. I mean, 20 or 30 years later, he was still saying, as I was in charge of hospitals and stuff, he was still saying, when are you going to get a proper job? You can't keep on being an asylum attendant. He just couldn't get his head around it, which is fair enough. Okay, so that was basically the first part of the 1970s. I've missed out all the fun stuff, the music and the partying and, the things that were really nice and good. So tomorrow I'll do a bit on that, okay? Not too much. I can't say too much, really. But I had a great time, a wonderful time. And a motorbike. What do you mean I had a motorbike? Yeah, it's true. Anyway, we're approaching 15 minutes, so I'm going to press the stop button in a moment. And tomorrow, we're just 4 or 5. I think it was 5 I said, wasn't it? Yeah. So tomorrow we'll come back and do 6. Or maybe even this afternoon, maybe, yeah? Right, bye now. Behave. Bye.